Good day, student. Today we are going to talk about the fourth P of marketing, promotions, many times called integrated marketing communications. Essentially, what's involved in the process is promoting our product and then coming up with our integrated marketing communication plan. How we communicate about it, what incentives do we use to get people to buy our brand, and what connections do we have on an ongoing basis. That's all about the integrated marketing communication. So what's IMC? What is a part of brand's integrated marketing communication program? Well, that's really anything out there. So that's a tangible representation of the brand and the brand identity. It's all the stuff that's out there. It is every touch point and every communication point that you have with consumers and then other stakeholders, employees, partners, and suppliers. So you have to look at everything and then make sure that you're representing the brand is consistent and then in effective manner. It's down to your packaging and your logo, and that's very important representation of your brand if you're creating a package. For example, if you have trucks out there, how you paint your trucks. Also, what about your website? What about your print materials and how are you going to distribute it? If you're a retailer, what's the retail atmosphere look like? And what's the inside your store as a representative of your brand? Or what else you run? What types of things that do you sponsor? And do you do the product placement in movies? So you want to be the next good guys in the heroes movies. Or what's the Twitter? And how about Twitter account? And what do people say about your reviews and your blogs? And what type of the community involvement do you have? It takes all into different things. So as you can see, I've got the Energizer battery company as an example. They do a pretty persistent job with really relaying the messages of the battery long life and the durability of the battery through Energizer Bunny. It keeps going and going with this particular image. So it was the consistent communication that they have about the brands. So when you look at IMC, it is all these different activities and then they integrate together and hopefully you're producing and creating the one consistent brand image for your product. So that's very appealing to the target audience because it will be stored in your long-term memory. So when people go to make a choice, you are the first one that come up with their mind and then they don't need to go beyond their internal search. The role of the promotion and marketing mix. Promotion is one of the 4 P's. So first of all, you come up with what your marketing objectives are. The first thing you should do is create your product, create value. Then you should price it, come up with the appropriate price. Then how are you going to distribute it? That's the next thing you should think about. How are you going to make your product valuable? Then figure out how are you going to talk about all this information. What's the best way for you to tell your story and what's the best way you can connect with the people. So when you should be providing incentives to deepen the relationship and then get to people buy. And when should we be providing incentives to deepen our relationship and then get to people buying now? So when you look at the promotional mix, that's what we are talking about IMC. You have a lot of different tools to do this job. So when I went through the picture of the Energizer Bunny, you can use the mascot and then you can use the big displays in Best Buy and also places where you can buy the batteries. And then you can do through with the point of sale and you can do advertising, create the logo, look like kind of lightning bolts so that people know that it's all about the electrifying strength and the battery longevity. So you can create different things in your promotional mix. Your promotional mix will essentially take in advertising and also we will talk about other tools in the following class. All those things are the part of the promotional plan. And then normally you don't just do one of them. You're active in all different platforms, and that's what a lot of marketing professionals spend time and then doing, coming up with those communication with their clients and those customer relationship management or the loyalty program to make you keep connected with your customers. so that we understand what devices and then also what different platforms and all of these things that really embody what our brand is about and people access and then look at a very frequent basis. One thing I want everyone to understand about promotion is just promotion. It's simply communication. It's just simply imagery. It cannot fix your problem. If your brand is not providing value to end users or consumers, it cannot fix a price or value problem if you're overpriced compared to everyone else in the industry. You cannot fix a distribution problem if you're not available conveniently. So it supports sound products, great products that add value and then provide benefits. It supports a product that's really priced correctly, and it will just help you to move that product through the channels if your distribution strategies make sense. So be aware of that. Promotion is not magic. It cannot solve big business problems, and then you cannot go out there, be deceptive with your advertising, your promotion, and really have a successful or sustainable business strategies long term. That's something that we need to be sure and we need to understand. So when we look at the promotion, IMC, generally, it's all about a lot of communication. So we have an advertiser who has the source, the left box at the source. They determine that they have a new product, a new service, or perhaps a new deal. So they want to let people, that consumers, know about it. So usually they go out and they work with an advertising agency or some of the creative people and then come up with a message. And then we call that is the encoding, created the coded message. Then you send out the through channel. For example, like television, Facebook, Twitter, they just put us through those different channels and then communicate to us like people, you and me. Then we decode the message. So we put that message to our perceptual screen, things that we see, and then things that we think, and then things that we believe. Then we receive the message. We may not pay attention to it very much because we just decode it, and sometimes we do not have enough time to interpret it. Or sometimes you can say, wow, that's something that I got to have, and I'm going to run and to buy it. So we may go to the website and then see the display ad, and then also we can find some of the product information, the Instagram, so make us engage in the social selling. That's essentially what happens. So advertiser comes up with the selling point to talk about their products, and then they're going to doing what the Instagram ads soon on your products that you have created. So just like wrapping up, an advertiser coming up with a selling point to talk about their product. So they are going to do with the Instagram ad and then encode the messages, say something that you really think that is really resonates with your target customer. Then you send it through to channel like the Instagram and then build it, then decode it, and then consumers will receive your messages. Then that's how the basic communication process works. If any of you have taken communication classes, this is a diagram you are highly familiar with. So we continue to see the companies spend more and more resource on the integrated marketing communication. And then why do we see this? Why is happening? One reason is that in media areas, the channel that you send through the middle of the last diagram have grown widely and then broadly. So there's more and more places that we can talk about. Technically, all publishers in our Instagram or Facebook pages, right? So there's a large proliferation media or news channels or places that you can put information out there. Also, because there's all these additional channels, there's a lot of the fragmentation of the places that we can advertise. So we cannot go out there and reach 90% of the older people with the one single ad. Maybe we go to the Super Bowl or we just advertise in the Academy Awards to get a lot of people at once. But generally, we have to go out with a lot of different messages and different channels to really have any mass communication impact in the marketplace. Another scenario is that markets are just mature. There's a lot of products out there. We're running all around the tons of choices and dealing with the paradox choice as the people just outspending to look for the better ways and then also outsmart each other through the promotional mechanism to increase their sales volumes of their products. And actually, really, just sheer access to lots of goods and services out there. We are hoping to increase the loyalty by spending a bit more and then just better CRM program. So we are turning on those dial a bit at a time to make sure that we have got a better product preferences out there in the long term, better sales and the revenues utilizing the promotional tools that are available to us. Additionally, more and more tools that we use in the IMC are measurable. So we don't throw just like a bunch of the ads and then just hope to help people just say like us more. Now we have the CRM programs where we spend the people's notifications on their phone and then we talk them on Facebook pages. So we can really look at the measures, the impact of the what campaign that we run. So now we have a more ability to take a look at the cost of the resources and that we are spending in the integrated marketing communication. Now let's talk about AIDA model. It's all around forever. The AIDA model provides a basis of the understanding how marketing communication works. This model talks about our attitudes or place that we are with the relationship with the product or services. So when you just think about it, you have a new product, how do I get people to buy it? The first thing that they are gonna have to know about it is you are gonna have to spread out some awareness. If you're only in the PLC, the product life cycle, you can create awareness for your product or the product category. Then you're going to try to make people like you and want somebody to be your friend or learn who they are when they come and like you. So you want people to get interested in. So you find out the benefits that you can promise them. So how do you create the interest in that area? And then after that, you can create desire, a real desire to purchase. So I'm aware, I'm interested now, so I want to buy something, and then also I want to be a friend with you. And then take action. So what do I think? What do I know? We need to make sure that the people know about the product and then we want to evoke some type of the emotions or attachments and create the interest and the desire. Then we want them to buy. So where you at in the AIDA model can help you to decide which tool that you can use. You should look into the customer journey and where they are in the process of the relationship, the making of decisions for your product category. Are they just looking now and becoming aware of the offerings? Or they're just getting interested in the making choices and the persuasive communication that what they see out there? Or are they just like point of the purchase? Or are they just stand and they're really ready to buy? So we understand where people are in that journey and then understand where the product is then the PLC and then take a look at the AIDA model and then utilize different tools. So we first use the information-based tools like advertising or public relations only in the PLC cycle or only in the customer journey. Then we utilize the sales promotion tools to get to people to do action and then close the deal. So we just talk about toolkit, the promotional toolbox, and then what's the IMC about. And then we are going to talk about each of these areas in the great details in the following lectures. So these are the brief introductions. And then these are examples how we can categorize those IMC element tools. Digital communication is where we are receiving the most of our ads these days. Next, media types. Digital communication is where we are receiving the most of our ads these days. As we get into the digital communication, we have to understand as an advertiser, we are losing more and more control in the messages. As we get the digital communication, we have to understand as an advertiser, we are losing more and more control of the messages. Consumers can respond back to us. So we put something in the social media and it's an interactive platform, so you have a loss of control. So you look for more co-creation of the messages. We want people post the reviews, and then we want people tell us how they feel. And also we want them to like in our Instagram post, and we want them to be our friend in the Facebook. So we have this kind of the old transparent images, and then also more transparent interactive type scenario in which we are advertising and promoting our brand, whether we are utilizing Snapchat, banner ads, websites, or even advertising the someone else blog. So when we look at the digital communication environment, we essentially have 3 different types of digital communication that we have involved in. First one is the paid media, like kind of advertising that we can communicate and we can place in the digital platform. So we can do this in the form of the display ads, and also we can have the sponsored posts in the Facebook or BuzzFeed. You know what? In the 90% of the content in the BuzzFeed, like kind of 10 reasons why this happens, 10 ways to be a safe driver, sponsored by State Farm. So BuzzFeed, most of the contents are the sponsored content. So be careful with what you look at there. It's really sponsored usually. So when you do the Google search, we know that there's some space of the ads. So you pay to Google and then display your product information on websites on the top result. Next, on media. Almost every organization or company or brand has their own website where they can talk about their products and more detailed levels. So as people search about, so people can search and then find them. So that's the own media. So we might have some blogs or Facebook pages, Twitter pages, and then we own a lot of space there in the digital area. So that's our own media where we want people to come to us. Lastly, we have a earned media. It's where people talk about us. For example, media coverage that we might get from somewhere else, like the New York Times, or the search engine optimization by us doing really great job with the content development, so that the people find us easier and then coming up high in the search results. So it's not, there's an ad section and the non-ad section, and just those search results in the bottom is about the search engine optimization. So if you do a really good job in the content marketing, then you have a high chance to be displayed in the top result. So then people can find you easier, and then coming up with the high search results. And then another earned media type is the social media post, kind of word of mouth. So people say about us. So when we look at the digital communication, this is not a scenario where it's just talking, it's just kind of mass communication. It's us talking about people individually, and then they have opportunity to talk back us and then give some of the signals back, whether they give us the approval, disapproval, or like or dislike. It's also the place where consumers talking about us. So as you look at the digital communication, know where you're investing and then know what level of the control that you have on the digital efforts that you put. Next, push and pull strategies. It is well-known business paradigm. First, push strategies is about manufacturers may use the aggressive personal selling and then trade advertising to convince the wholesaler or the retailer to carry and then sell their merchandise. So the wholesaler in turn pushes the merchandise more by persuading the retailer to handle the goods. So the retailer uses advertising to other forms of the promotions to convince the customers to push the product. In general, push strategies are needed if you go through the several different channel partners to get through ultimately to the end users. So it is especially true with the convenience goods, because those goods not simply go directly to manufacturers. On the other hand, an organization uses the pull approach. They develop the products or services in direct response to an existing customer demand. In other words, it stimulates the customer's demand to obtain the product distribution. The manufacturer uses a pull strategies by focusing on promotional efforts on the end consumers and the opinion leaders. So the wholesaler then place the order of the pulled merchandise from the manufacturer, then customers demand the pulls the product through the channel of the distribution. In the information age in which we are living in, it's much easier than manufacturers to product that cater the customer's desires. Digital technology make it easier for the corporations to get direct access to their customers and allow them to their needs more quickly. So a company typically use the mixed push and pull strategies, but most often, if you're doing the convenience good, you're doing the both push and pulling at the same time. But definitely make sure that you have activities to figure out how your budget, how much allocation of your response towards the pushing that product out, and how much effort you need to put to consumers, and then what's the most efficient method for you. This sometimes lies at understanding what your basic marketing issues or problem is. What is your problem? You do not have awareness among consumers, or you do not have the distribution channels. Because if you do have a distribution problem, you cannot solve with the consumer's communication. You have to make sure that you've got the product in the right supply chains. Integrating those promotional elements, how much should we spend on advertising, or how much we should spend on sales promotion, or how much we integrate those all promotional elements, how much we should spend in advertising or promotion or just public relationship, or what kind of activities should we be engaged in. We're going to talk about more each of individual tools in the following lectures. But basic, think about your resource. And what's your channel structure? Are we pushing or pulling? If we pulling, we should take to consumers. And if you're pushing, we should take them to trade partners. Also, think about what type of buying decisions, whether this is the B2B or B2C. So what type of buying decision is this? And what's the nature of the product category? Where are we at the stage of the product life cycle? And if it's the introductory phase, you want to giving people to the information, and you need something where you can make a long-term messages that you might want to utilize the advertising. You might want to utilize website page and also be sponsored stories. And maybe some sponsored stories. So are we just trying to remind people? Reminding people can be through the smaller communication. That's the more about just the brand focus, because people know what we are about and what our brand represents. So what's the target market like? Is it easy to reach this target market, or is it hard to reach the target market? That can be also to do a lot of with the how we should communicate and how we can get their attention. The last thing is, how much money do I have? Do I have a lot of resources to spend, or just a few resources to spend? We need to look through the nature of the products, whether the nature of the market. We also need to look at through the nature of the products or markets and nature of the selling situations as we decide what promotional tools are we going to use as the best. So this is for this chapter. Thank you for watching.